when I go to line up for this barbell deadlift, right, I want my feet again to be about hip width apart. They can be slightly turned out, that's perfectly fine, right? I want to think about the barbells lined up over my laces of my foot. From here, same kind of mechanics. I want to stack that rib cage. I want to anti-shrug my shoulders from the start. So I'm going to think about pulling myself actively down to the bar versus like willy-nilly going down to the bar, okay? Your setup is your first rep. Make sure you do it the same every time and be as active and create as much intention in your setup as you do in rep number 2, rep number 3, rep number 4. Same thing with your last rep. Never lose form on your last rep. I see that a lot. So setup is always your first rep. Keep form throughout, right? Really focus on bracing and breathing before you lift any kind of heavy weight. So barbells lined up right over my laces. From here, rib cage is stacked. I'm going to chop back at those hips. I'm going to actively pull myself down to that barbell. Before I go to lift, right, I want to think about pulling that barbell into my shins, kind of, right? Because that's what's going to get those lats to engage. That's pinching off the back of the armpits. That's squeezing that orange. So I highly recommend that you wear long pants or socks. There's even shin guards that you can wear for lifting or deadlifting, because literally I want that barbell being pulled on into your shin and your leg the entire time. I never want that barbell to lose contact with your skin, basically. So wear something to kind of buffer that, because you will get bruises. I have them, but if you're doing it right and creating as much tension and getting those lats to engage, which is ultimately going to really help protect your low back, make sure you're pulling that barbell into you, okay? From the side view, you'll notice when I pull myself down to the barbell, my shoulders are gonna be slightly in front of the barbell itself. I want to be able to stack my shoulders right directly over the top of that barbell. So that's the wedge that we talk about. So I want to actively thinking about create tension, pulling or wedging myself between the barbell and the floor. Okay, you'll see when I do that I'll go from being slightly in front of the barbell with my shoulders to being kind of directly stacked over top. You'll also see that my shins get a little bit more vertical there, which again, because I want that straight to pull up the body. I don't want to have to go around my knees. So if we think about it, when I'm in that position, right, I'm going to extend my knees first and then my hips, okay? That's so I can have that straight barbell path. When I reverse it, just the opposite. I'm gonna hinge my hips back first until I get past my knees, then I'm gonna bend my knees, right? So coming up, I'm gonna straighten my knees first until that barbell comes right over top of the knees, and then hips come forward. Reversing it, hips go back first until I pass the knees, and then I'm gonna bend the knees to bring the barbell down to the ground. So let's put it all together. So I'm lined up, barbell's kind of right over the laces of my shoes. I'm gonna create tension. I'm gonna stack that rib cage. I'm gonna chop those hips back. I'm gonna find that barbell. My hands are just literally right outside of my shins, okay? I'm not out here. I'm in really close. That's so I can get as much lat engagement as I can. Right, from here I'm gonna think about wedging myself up between the barbell and the floor, or stacking my shoulders over that barbell. So I'm gonna take a big breath in. I'm gonna stack my shoulders so my shins are nice and vertical. Now my shoulders are more over top of that barbell versus here, right? So I'm in that more stacked position. Big breath, create as much tension as I can without actually lifting the barbell. If you heard that, there's a little bit of play in the barbell. We want to make sure that when we're wedging, we're taking all of that play out of the barbell before we even lift it. Because if we don't, our initial lift is going to be taking that play out, and what we'll see is that you'll actually get a little bit of movement in that low back, okay? Until the barbell kind of catches up with you, and then you'll be able to lift it. So make sure you get that play out of the barbell first, create as much tension as you can, big brace in that low belly, and then you're gonna think of actively just pushing the floor away as you stand up. I know I keep saying we're gonna do it, and then I stop, but we're gonna do it this time, I promise. So, laces, rib cage is stacked, core is engaged. I want you to chop back at those hips, actively pull yourself down to the barbell. Grip the barbell as hard as you can. From here, I'm gonna wedge myself underneath. So, I'm gonna stack those shoulders up over. I'm gonna shoot my hips back slightly. My shins are nice and vertical. Big breath in, brace. Right? I'm gonna pull that whole time the barbell into me. pinching the back of my shoulder blades. That barbell never leaves my skin. Now I'm gonna reverse it. I'm gonna shoot my hips back. That barbell again is sliding right down my legs. Once I pass my knees, I'm gonna bend my knees, okay? So, wedge, close off the back of those armpits, create tension, push the floor away, pass my knees, my hips extend, okay? From here, my hips shoot back, pass my knees, I'm gonna bend my knees down to the ground. So I'm just gonna show you a few reps, just to get a few reps in there for you. So, big breath in, and down, create tension, wedge, pinch those armpits, come up, back down. Nice. At the top, make sure that we're not hyperextending through that low back. We come up to a nice straight plane. Whew, that was a lot. Cool. So